Well, everybody's here already. Well, I guess it's time to get started. Broadcasting live from beautiful downtown Cleveland. It's station WDWL TV, starring me, the grumpy old man, and our show is brought to you by Grumpy Vulture Productions, No Bow, and the appearance by the Grumpy Jackalope.
But out of that, a new holiday was born. A Festivus for the rest of us.
And now we will have the nightly ceremonial lighting of the official Festivus pole. Oh, does that look nice? Let's get this out of the way. How is everyone doing? Day 2 on antibiotics and numbing throat spray. So far, I'm not feeling any different. But we'll see what happens over the weekend. Hopefully Monday I can sing. That's a scary thought. Right now it is 18 degrees. We had a high of 22. And man, was it cold out there. Holy shit, I had to go to the bank. I had to go to the store. Went to the bank only to find out that my little cutie is off till Monday. So, I grabbed my check and my deposit slip, and I said, nothing against you, Jason, but I have a Christmas present for a certain teller, and I'll be back Monday. He was like, I could see, as I got in the car and I'm looking in the window, he's pointing like, oh, this guy's he's a whack ball. So your antibiotics kicking in, Kathy? Feeling better, huh? Well, I'm looking forward to the weekend, mainly Monday. Have to do our song. I'm getting all kinds of requests. And I had a listener send me, oh, here, I'll show you. I'll break everything. Gentle, gentle. I had a listener send me, all right, let's try this again. Come on, come on, come on. A microphone mounting arm. He bought it, never used it, and he said, well, you can have it. So, it's in use. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It makes like 10 mounting arms that I've got, but I hate those crappy, cheap scissor style ones. This one, I'll tell you what, this one is nice. Very sturdy, well constructed, and for free, even better. So, loyal listener, thank you. I appreciate it. And as you can see, came in the mail right out of the box. Boom. And I got an email today. I follow loyally a channel called Pepe's Towing. They're a heavy-duty recovery wrecker service out in Los Angeles. And I basically have been watching him from almost like day one. And I'll tell you what, the equipment today versus what I was doing heavy recovery with back in 1970, these, they call them rotators. It's basically a big crane mounted on a tow truck. And, you gotta, Pepe's Towing is the YouTube channel. You gotta watch. I'll tell you what, these guys, now, every recovery is a bitch to work. These guys make it look easy. Especially when they get a rollover and they rig to it and they barrel roll it in the air and then gently set it on the ground. Not like back in 1970 when it would slam down, crash, bang, shit go flying. I don't know where more damage was caused. The initial rollover or me rolling it back over. The work that these guys do is amazing. And I constantly compliment them and tell them every time a new video comes out, I watch it, I comment. Well, they are sending me a gift for being a loyal subscriber. Now, I'm not a member because, I'm cheap. That's the word I was looking for. So, they are sending me a Christmas gift as a thank you for being so loyal. I can't wait till it gets here. Hopefully it'll be here by Christmas. Although I'll tell you what, I have noticed packages are slowing down. The weather is really putting a dent on shipping. I've been getting all kinds of notices, delayed by weather, delayed by weather. Although, you want to watch something hilarious. I came across this by accident, and I almost didn't make airtime. Go to... No, not a calendar. I had to buy one. I bought one of those desk blotter calendars from Staples. You want to watch something utterly hilarious. The YouTube channel is 1320 Video. 1320 Video. I was watching And this takes place in Glacier View, Alaska. Every 4th of July, they do a car launch. They launch vehicles off a 300-foot cliff to see which one goes the farthest when it lands. This year, this 4th of July, they had 38 cars and 2 limousines. And basically what they do, they have a starting zone. They drop them in gear. They throw a brick on the accelerator, and the car goes to the edge of the cliff, launches. It's hilarious. They must have had at least 5,000 to 6,000 people in the audience going crazy every time they launched a vehicle. I tripped across it by accident. I was like, this is hilarious. It started out many years ago. One car. A guy hit a moose, and the moose totaled the car. So basically what he did, he lived in Glacier View. He said, hey, I'm going to launch this car off this cliff. So family, friends, relatives were down at the bottom of the cliff, a distance away, having a picnic. And they heard the car start. Off the cliff it went. Well, over the years, it's gone from one car and about 25 people to this year, 38 cars and about 6,000 people. And they make a day out of it. They have a picnic, they play game, volleyball and whatever. And then the main event is the car launch. This is hilarious. So you gotta check it out. I subscribed because I didn't get a chance to go through all the videos that this guy's got. So tomorrow, I'm going to be watching videos. Yeah, that's what it said in the information, that it's an annual thing now. Every 4th of July. It is hilarious. And they had one, a van. And the van, come crashing down, boom. Well, several cars later, a car come over, bounced down the cliff, boom, right on top of the van. And running. The van was still running, and the car was still running. And they said this year it was a first to have 2 vehicles, one stack on another one, and both of them remain running. They actually had to run over and shut them off for fear of a fire. It is hilarious. Almost as hilarious as the looks I got from Jason at the bank today. I walked up to the window, and I got my deposit and my big $51 check. And he reaches for it, and I said, Sarah here? No, she's off until Monday. I said, okay, thank you. I'll be back Monday. He said, don't you want to make that deposit? I said, it can wait till Monday. Plus, I told him I had a Christmas present. And he kind of like, I don't get one? Well, no. You're not a little cutie. Only little cuties get Christmas presents. As a matter of fact, today I went into Mark's and I'm walking, doing my grocery shopping. I get a little tap on the shoulder. I turn around. It's Olivia. She goes, it's right here in my pocket. I said, well, good. She says, when I put on my coat, it goes right in my coat pocket. And just like you said, I keep my hand in my coat pocket. That's wonderful. You just keep doing that. I said, now, do you have your flashlight? She said, it's in my coat pocket. I says, when you leave at night, what are you going to do with the flashlight? I'm going to look in my back seat. Good. I got one well-trained. Hopefully Annie is that way, and Margaret and Susan and Camille and Jennifer and Jessica. I'm known as the pepper spray man now. Then I'm up at the cash register and Christy goes, don't I get one? I said, what do you think, I'm made of pepper spray? She says, well, you're giving them to everybody else. I said, no, not everybody. Christy don't need one. She has this big, ugly boyfriend that picks her up every night. This guy looks like he could reach out and crush your head. I was like, you don't need pepper spray. You already have your built-in protection in the car. And he's nice enough where he meets her at the door when she walks out of the store and escorts her over to the car. So I said, you don't need pepper spray. You're not alone in a parking lot. I said, not to mention, I said, somebody even looks at you cross-eyed, your boyfriend will be like, very nice guy, but boy, I'll tell you what, he works out at the gym every day, and you could tell. When he puts his arm up to make a muscle, his arm is the size of my thigh. Talk about six-pack abs. This guy's got an 8-pack. He's a longshoreman. Works down at the Cleveland docks. One of these days I'm going to ask him if that pays good money. I would tend to think longshoremen are making good money. I mean, usually you don't ask a person what he's making, but I would just like to know because back in 1970, when I was working for the county, I met a guy who was a longshoreman, and God, the money he was making in 1970, I was like, holy cow! Because I says to him, I said, "Are there that many ships that come in the winter?" He says, "Oh yeah, we 12 months out of the year." He said, "The Coast Guard runs the icebreaker up and down." He said, "We never have a problem." And the ships nowadays have these thrusters. It's like a pod underneath the ship, and they run these thrusters several times. I think he said they fire up twice an hour, and they literally just no ice forms around the ship. These things blast it away. And the amazing thing is with these things, they can take that ship, turn the thruster so that it pushes the ship away from the dock into the middle of the channel, and then they can literally turn that ship right around. They don't even really need tugboats. Oh, did I time it perfect today when I went into the marks? The guy from Blue Sausage was just making a delivery of sausage. So I got me 4 nice packs of hot Italian sausage, and then right after him came in Fligner's meats, and I got 4 fresh packs of Hungarian sausage, and then the guy that brings the baguettes come up to the front of the store with fresh baguettes. I was like, holy cow. So tonight, oh, 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 I am going to have me a nice big Italian sausage hoagie. Well, it's going to be a pepper and onion hoagie with some Italian sausage on it and some spaghetti sauce. Roasted garlic. I have just enough sauce left over for a couple of sandwiches, so. And I've been drinking Werner's ginger ale because it's on sale. I miss my Seagrams. I'm not paying $3 a 2 liter when I can get my Werner's. Uh, I think they're $1.38. So I'll be drinking Werner's until the sale goes off, and then hopefully Seagram's will be on sale again. Although I've noticed Burners is not like it used to be. Burners used to have that, I'll say, bite, like ginger beer. It always was a really strong ginger ale. Not anymore. I mean, it's got a stronger flavor, but not like it was back in the day. Because I haven't had Burners in 20 years. Have you tried Burners lately, Kathy? It's not like it used to be. Boy, you drink that stuff years ago and wow, it had a bite. So how are you doing tonight, Lynx Fur? I know you were in agony last night. You know, I appreciate the ads for the T-shirts, but man, I gotta clear out. I got so goddamn many T-shirts. Jesus, I have a dresser drawer that's about this deep, and the dresser is what, I'll say 40 inches wide. I got the lower drawer is packed, and I mean packed. And then there must be 20, 25 T-shirts in my closet. Not to mention the dozen that I ordered this year. It's like, oh, geez. Time to go through them and donate them to Goodwill. Let somebody else wear vulgar T-shirts. Although, back in the day, they weren't like they are today. Today, they get their point across. So, what's your weather like, Kathy? Holy shit, we're down to 17. Down at the bottom corner, I have the current temperature. Frickin' 17 degrees. No wonder the furnace seems like it's been running constant. Oh, I heard from Bill this morning. Yeah, go ahead, rub it in, Lynx Fur. He goes to his attorney's office on Tuesday, okay? Because it, it's on his way to work. He goes in and he says to the secretary, I'm here to pick up the car titles. Because he says, I got people waiting for these titles. She goes in, she's looking around. She goes, well, let me see if I can get a hold of him because he's in court. Well, the dumb ass forgot to take them out of his briefcase. And he is in a trial that is going to be about 4 days in another county. So it won't be until next week. So I told him, no text message, call. I said, we ain't doing text messages anymore because you kind of ignore your text messages. He said, I know. He said, I got 4 people up my ass for these titles. I said, yeah. I said, you don't realize if I get stopped, I will literally lose that car. Because by the time I would get the title from you, get it transferred, the towing fees are going to be more than the car's worth. I told him, I said, I'm running a risk every time I pull out of the driveway. He says, I know. Well, yeah, it's good you know. I said, my blood pressure goes up every time I get behind the wheel. I don't need that shit. Yeah, Ron's new nickname is Lynx Fur. Because it sounds a lot better than ostrich leather. Yeah, Ron will be Lynx Fur until like the 24th of December. Then we'll let him go back to Robo Ron. Well, kangaroo leather. Same continent. I knew it was one of them Australian things. That's right, Kathy. I gifted Ron that name for Christmas. So he has to maintain that name until Christmas Eve. What I'm thinking of doing maybe Christmas Day, I will get the GoPros out and I will take a ride downtown, depending on the weather, and film Public Square and Terminal Tower, Key Bank. I don't know if the BP building does any lighting. I don't know if the Federal building does either. And then I'll try to figure out how to put the videos up. Because the main festivities downtown are Christmas Eve, so I don't want to be anywhere near downtown Cleveland on Christmas Eve. But I'm figuring Christmas Day, maybe around 5, 6 o'clock, when it starts to get dark, I could do my GoProing. We'll see. It depends on the weather, too. I ain't driving down in a blizzard. Well, the other computer went blank for a minute. I was like, don't give me a hard time. It's bad enough I'm getting nervous. My big ass 43-inch curved monitor is starting to act wacky. This morning I fired it up and I'm watching a video, and next thing the monitor goes blank. And the sound was still playing, so I knew it wasn't the computer. Then it came back on. Then it went out. Then it came on. Then it went. I was like, if this thing is going bad, it's going to really piss me off. Now, I do have the smaller one. I've got the 34. But I'm spoiled with the big one. See, that's what really irritates me about this shit. Because if this thing dies, you just throw it out. There's no repairing it. You know, we're a throwaway society, and that really gets me. That's like, you know, every so many years you got to go out and buy a new computer. Because they won't handle the newer programs. Not enough specs. And, you know, like Windows 10, Microsoft isn't doing any support for it anymore. No new updates, nothing. You know, they want you to upgrade to 11, or I don't know, do we have a 12? Does Microsoft come out with a new? You know, one time when Microsoft would introduce a new update to Windows, for a short period of time you could get it free. Because when they went from XP, which was the greatest edition of Windows to this date, my opinion, when they went to 7, they gave it, there was like you had 30 days you could get it for free. So, you know, all of my computers, I updated them all. Now, I don't know if they still do that or not. I'm not paying, I'll tell you that. Although there are a couple of websites that I've dealt with where you can order a new hard drive. Like, well, this no, not this computer. The other one. I ordered a new hard drive that was Windows 10 Pro. I just plugged the hard drive in, and I had a new computer basically. Yeah, Kathy, it's amazing how many people to this day still say XP was one of the best trouble free additions Windows ever came out with. Microsoft did everything correct. As a matter of fact, that was the first edition of Windows where you didn't need drivers when you installed something. If you bought a camera, it was plug and play because Windows finally did what Apple had been doing for years. Everything with Apple was plug and play. You never had to download a disk with drivers, and Microsoft finally wrote software that was plug and play. Not to mention, it was way easier to use and had a shitload of features. I'll tell you the worst one, Vista. Oh my God, I can't believe that they got away with releasing that. Vista had to be the worst edition of Windows they ever released. I remember when I would be over at the computer shop helping my buddy, and somebody would come in with a laptop or a desktop where Vista had crashed, and he would tell him, hey, upgrade. It ain't going to be worth me straightening this thing out because you're going to have problems. I don't know anybody that owned a computer that had Vista on it that it was trouble free. That was the worst edition of Windows I think they ever put out, and I to this day can't believe I just I'm trying to think. I don't think. Oh God, what's his name? I don't think he had retired yet. I can't think of his name. Mr. Microsoft himself. The multi-billionaire. I remember years ago reading a story. He pulled into to McDonald's one morning on the way to work. And he ordered a couple of Egg McMuffins and a cup of coffee, and Bill Gates, yeah, how could I forget? Yeah. And he gets to the payment window. He didn't have any money, and he didn't have his wallet. The guy had more money than China had rice, had no money, and he forgot his wallet. And what I liked about the manager of McDonald's, he said, "That's all right, you can pay me tomorrow morning." I guess Gates thought the manager was going to go, "It's okay, yeah, here you go." Nope. He told Bill Gates, "You can pay me tomorrow morning." There's a guy that basically could have lined his interior with $100 bills. Didn't have a dime on him and forgot his wallet. And I think he figured the manager would say, "Have a nice day." He said, "Nah, you can pay me tomorrow." But I think when Vista was released, I think Gates was still CEO. I cannot believe they wrote such crap. Oh, Vista was the worst shit on earth. And then the guy that they appointed as CEO, what an asshole he was. Oh, Jesus Christ. He was an idiot. To this day I can't understand how Bill Gates waved his magic wand and gave that guy his approval. He was a crackpot. I can't remember his name, but boy, was he a whackball. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the next morning, he had placed the same order and he paid double. Because I guarantee, if he would have ducked out on 2 Egg McMuffins and a large cup of coffee, that manager would have called every goddamn news outlet in the world. Yeah, Gates came back the next morning and paid. I mean, sure, you're a billionaire. You don't have any money. You don't carry a wallet. Yeah, it gets to the pay window. You go, I don't have any money and I forgot my wallet. He's lucky the manager was nice enough to say, "Well, okay, take your breakfast and pay me tomorrow." Me, I'd have been like, "No money, no food. This ain't a charity here." Although Steve Jobs was the same way. He never carried any money on him, and very rarely did he carry a wallet. Although Steve Jobs wasn't a McDonald's type person. God, if I go out of the house without my wallet, I feel like I don't have my pants on. I'm like, holy. And that, I'll tell you what, that is embarrassing. I was at Mark's one day, and I had, probably $30 worth of groceries. I reached back, and I'm like, holy shit, I don't have my. So I waved for the girl at the service desk to come down. And she knows me. God, I've been going to that store for 40 years. I said, I forgot my wallet. I says, I'm only 5 minutes away. I says, I'm going to run home. I'll be right back. Can you put my stuff behind the service desk? And boy, I'll tell you what I did. I zip right home. I come right back. I did that twice. I did it at Mark's, and I did it at Save-A-Lot. Nothing more embarrassing than reach to your pocket and no wallet. You just kind of freeze. And, I'm patting my ass like maybe 3 times and click my heels together, a wallet will appear in my pocket. I would like, put my groceries at the service desk. I'll be right back. And I did it a couple of days apart. I don't know. I must have had dementia that week. Because usually my routine, when I get dressed in the morning, I immediately grab my change, put it in my pocket, grab my wallet, and put it in my pocket. And then if I'm going to go somewhere, I double check. Okay, wallet, cell phone, money, keys. I can't believe I went out of the house 2 days and left my wallet on the dresser. Because I'm real OCD. I have a spot on my dresser for my change. I have a spot for my wallet. I have a spot for my pens. Everything's lined up. I get dressed, pens go in pocket, change goes in pocket, wallet goes in pocket. And then when I'm going to the store, I double check, and then I put my coat on here because my cell phone is always on the console. So the cell phone goes in the jacket pocket, keys, I want to get that damn title because I can get that temp tag on the car, and I can go and get the window fixed, and then I can go to Lakewood to the key shop and get my new key fob, key cut, and programmed. because I bought me a little. I got more accessories than I know what to do with for the Passat. I got this fancy. Let me take it out of the plastic. Oh, I hate these stupid things. With the zip strip on the plastic bag, you can never get the damn things open. Ugh. Come on. Open up. Open up. I got me this really neat aluminum gunmetal gray hardcover for my key fob. So I can't wait to get the new key fob all set, and then I have this fancy schmancy. It goes right over the top of the key fob. And then it comes with this really nice leather strap. So I can't wait to get the brand new key fob programmed and cut, so that, because it'd be nice to be able to lock the doors and set the alarm, Come on, get in the plastic already. Give me a hard time. Yeah, I got that fancy schmancy key fob cover off of Temu, $5. I'll tell you what, since my 85 Eldorado, this Passat is probably the most accessorized car I have ever had. I'm going to have to take a picture of the steering wheel. I got that green carbon fiber fancy schmancy things for the steering wheel. It makes the black steering wheel look like it's a racing steering wheel. And then I got the carbon fiber thing for the handbrake. And then I got that fancy shift knob that lights up. Looks like crystal. And then I got the fancy schmancy things for your seatbelt. And then the matching things for the grab handles in the ceiling. And then I'm going to have my gauges in there. What else did I do to it? Oh, I got, since I didn't do the roof yet, but since the hood, the roof, and the trunk, all the clear coat was peeling off, I got green wrap. I wrapped the hood, I wrapped the deck lid, I got to wrap the roof yet. What else? Oh, I got the new armrest cover because the old one was broke. Although, I'll tell you what, the more I drive that car, the more I like it. It just handles so nice. It's amazing for a 25-year-old vehicle how, although it's only got 157,000 miles on it, technically it's like not even broke in. And boy, does that turbo have pickup. And the interesting thing is, the engine, it's only got 170 horsepower. You would think that it's got 300 horse when that turbo kicks in. Although that engine redlines at 6,500 RPMs, I would never think of redlining that engine. But it's a sweet running car. It really is. As much as it aggravated the shit out of me, like every week it seemed like it was breaking down. The only thing I haven't tried was the air conditioner. Although it must be working all right, because when you set the temperature, it keeps it where it's supposed to. The only thing I have to do when I get the door fixed, there's three lines on the rear window defogger that aren't defogging. I might as well have them fix them. Well, it's going to be at the glass shop, and hey, after you fix the door window, take a look at that back window for me. Not to mention, discovering 5 months after I owned it that it had a telescopic steering wheel. That is nice now. I've got everything adjusted perfect. CD player works like a charm. Cassette player works like a charm. AM/FM radio works like a charm. I just wish I could find matching seat cover for the back seat. With so many cars having that 60/40 back seat, you would think that if they're making a seat cover for the front of the car, they would make matching seat cover for the back of the car. So far, I have not been able to find a matching seat cover for that 60/40 split for the back. Easy. For the back seat. I mean, I could get the regular cover. The only thing, if I wanted to fold the back seat down, I would have to fold both sides at the same time. No big deal. But there might be a time where I just want to fold one part of it. But if I can't come up with a 60/40, then I'll just buy the seat cover for the whole back, and because I would like the back seat to match the two front seats. and the floor mats. Yeah, Canty, that 60-40 rear split has been out like, what, 25 years? And it's not just Volkswagen. I mean, just about every car that's got a folding back seat has a 60-40. God, my buddy's girlfriend's 1999 Chevy Cobalt has got a 60-40 back seat. So it's not like, oh, hey, for 2024, yeah, I told my buddy, I said, hey, if your girlfriend ever gets rid of that Cobalt, as much as I hate Chevys, I want it. Even though it's an automatic. Because it's a diesel. And she hardly drives it. I told him, I said, when she gets ready to buy a new car, I want that car. Matter of fact, like he was telling me, with her not driving that thing daily, they have had to put so much money into it. He had to put new catalytic converters on it because with her not driving it on a regular basis, something went haywire with the catalytic converters. And then it takes that stupid diesel emission fluid. Something went wrong with the injection system. They had to have that replaced. He said they're constantly putting money in that car. I said, well, tell her to drive it, even if she just goes around the block every day a couple of times. Matter of fact, when I was over there having coffee recently, I said, there's the perfect example sitting in the driveway. I said, that Passat sat 4 years, and look at the money I had to dump into it. I said, you've got to drive a car on a regular basis. I drive past the house, it's sitting in the driveway, covered with snow, But as much as I detest GM products, except for Cadillac, and I really can't stand the Cobalt because they don't really have any appeal, I said, I want that car. I'll get used to driving an automatic. It'll be my backup car. Because she bought it brand new. She ordered it. Because she wanted a diesel, because she was driving every day from Cleveland to Akron. And then when the old COVID hit, 80% of the employees work from home. She only has to go in the office like once every 2 weeks. Well, you can't leave a car sit like that. And when they go grocery shopping, they take his, the hell's he got? Tahoe, Terrain, some SUV. He works for GM, so that's all they own is GM cars. I think it's a Terrain. Or is it an Acadia? I don't know. It's a big white SUV. Like I told him, I said, you're lucky you work for the dealership. Because he gets his employee discount on parts and labor. Because I think he said that goddamn catalytic converter for that diesel was like $400. Then the injection system for the DEF system was like almost $400. I said another reason I want it is by the time I get it, you'll have everything replaced. I won't have to spend any money on it. Although you can't even get, I don't think they're putting diesels in anything except the bigger pickup trucks. Because you used to be able to get diesels in cars. I had that Toyota pickup with the diesel in it. I had an Eldorado with a diesel in it. I like diesels. Man, I'll tell you what, that Eldorado, when I was going from Cleveland to Columbus, when I was dating that girl down there, if I set the cruise control at between 65 and 68, I was getting almost 60 miles to the gallon. Because Cadillac has got that thing in the dash that told you your mileage. Like the Passat's got the same thing. Although I had to laugh today because I went to the bank and I went to Mark's and came home and it said, oh, you're averaging 20 miles to the gallon. Yeah, right. That car sucks gasoline. It just loves that 94 octane. As a matter of fact, when I told my buddy, I said, I'm gonna do a tank of 94 and a tank of 87, and he said, no. You'll screw your injectors up. I said, you mean to tell me I got to keep using 93 or 94 octane? He said, yes. So believe me, that car will never get below half a tank. If I'm going to have to put high octane fuel in it, it ain't never going empty. Although when I filled up the last time, I filled up. right up to the top of the filler neck. I was rocking the car. Come on, get the air bubble out. Although I lucked out because usually when you change a fuel pump, it screws up the sending unit. Well, the nice thing with Volkswagen, they have a separate sending unit in the gas tank. So when you change the fuel pump, you're just changing the fuel pump. Not like American cars. When you take the whole assembly out, it's got everything. It's got the fuel pump and the sending unit, and it never fails. You put it back together and the gauge ain't right. I remember when I had my, what the hell was that Pontiac van? Venture or something? I changed the fuel pump, and no matter how I adjusted the float, I could never, ever get that goddamn fuel gauge right. So I ended up buying a separate gas gauge with a sending unit. And I drilled an extra hole in the gas tank to mount the sending unit, and that was the only way I had a goddamn correct fuel gauge. Ventura, yeah. I'll tell you what, I liked that van. I really did. Because it had the sliding doors on both sides. It made it real nice to clean the interior. As you open the two front doors, you open the sliding doors, and I'd take the leaf blower and I can't remember why I sold it. Oh, I found a Ford Ranger. So I sold the van and I bought the Ranger, and then I had the Ranger for about a month, and the goddamn timing belt let go. I was like, somebody up there hates me. But that Pontiac van was, it was peppy too. That V6, I can't remember how many horse that V6 engine was, but the thing was peppy. I sold it to a guy, and he had it for 2 months, and he wrecked it. He was one of these typical, hot doggers on the freeway in the snow. And he ended up doing a Yahoo off the freeway. Bent the shit out of the front subframe, ended up junking it. Matter of fact, I bought that van off a girl that lived in Willowick, and she hadn't driven that thing in like a year. So I went over there with a battery and got it running. And I went up to the gas station. I filled the tank, and I drove that son of a bitch from Willowick all the way back to my house in Cleveland. I went to back in the driveway and blew a brake line. I was like, holy shit. I'm coming back during rush hour traffic. I'm glad it waited until I went to back in the driveway. So I replaced all the lines. I didn't take no chance. Even if they look good, I was like, you're coming off. New, brand new ones, front to back. But it was comfy. I liked them captain chair front seats. It was a nice van. It really was. I think it was about 10 years old when I bought it. Although with the dual sliding doors, boy, those come in handy. Because the air conditioning quit working. So what I would do is prop the two sliding doors open and drive with the sliding doors open. Like a Jeep. There was one make Toyota van that I really wanted. I can't think of the model. It probably had to be an 80s vintage. Although I had a, oh God, what year was that? 70. It was a 70 something Toyota van, and I loved it because that was the van where you sat over the front wheels. The engine was in between you. That thing had an amazing turning radius. I loved that van. And the goddamn transmission went out on it. But I can't remember what model Toyota van. I had driven one, and I really got to like it, and I could never find one for a decent price. I'll have to look it up. You couldn't give me a Chrysler product. You couldn't give me one. I wouldn't take it. I hate Chryslers. Any Chrysler I've ever owned, I've always had bad luck with it. I had a friend that he was getting rid of his Dodge Nitro. And he knew I was looking for a Jeep. And the Dodge Nitro and the Jeep were basically the same goddamn thing. And he goes, "Oh, I'll sell it to you for a good price." I said, "No, I don't want it." He said, "Why?" I said, "It's a Dodge." I've owned two Chrysler products in my life, and both of them were the biggest goddamn lemons on earth. My sister's got a Ford Edge. She loves it. Matter of fact, it's her second one. She bought one used, and she drove that for like I think 4 years, and then she went out and bought a brand new Ford Edge. I don't know. It's kind of an ugly looking thing to me. It looks like a giant egg. But like I told her, I'm not making the payments on it. I don't care. But they do. They look like an a, an egg. But she loves it. Hey, she's the one making the payment on it, not me. I'd like to find a 2010 F-150 with a manual. Because 2010 was the last year Ford put a manual in an F-150. Normal 100s, LD, red hundreds, normal cigarette. Yeah, I found a lot of 2010 F-150s. I can't find one with a manual. I'm on a search. That was the last year that Ford put manual transmissions in the F-150s. Nope. Look, just, when you're on TV, it adds 10 pounds. So the camera adds extra length to the cigarette. Well, like they say, a camera adds 10 pounds, so the camera's adding extra length and girth to my cigarette. Well, there's probably a bunch of them out there, Ron. Arizona, Nevada, there's a lot of construction going on out there, and construction companies usually bought the cheapest pickup truck they could buy. And I bet you there's a bunch of 2010 F-150 manuals floating around out in Arizona. I'd like to have one because you don't have any rust out there. The paint goes to hell on the cars out there due to the heat, but they don't rust and rot away. I found one 2 years ago, but it needed a clutch. And I didn't want to go through that headache. Which, dummy me, I should have. I should have bought it. And so, if it had taken me a month to get a clutch in it, big deal. But that's the only one I ever found, and I could have got the goddamn thing cheap because it needed a clutch. But 2010 is the last year for the manual transmission in an F-150. About twice a month, I go on Faceplant Market Space. So far, no luck. In 2010, when there was boom in construction, companies were buying them things by the fleet. And like you say, they're probably floating around out in Arizona, Nevada, Idaho. I can't find one around here. And really, when you come down to it, I really don't want a 2010 because it has to be e-checked. That's why I can't wait till January. That way I can walk in the license bureau and go, I don't need your emissions check. My car is now officially 25 years old. Exempt. Give me my license plate. Yeah, I'll get me a temp tag. That'll take me well into January. Then I'll go into the Bureau of Motor Vehicles and say, I want that plate. And they'll say, good, pass. Here you go. Because that's going to be the official license plate for the Passat. Except it won't have this logo thing. The plate will be spread out more. I can't wait. When they arrive, I'll show everybody. Because it's available. I check it weekly. Now watch, when I go to order it, somebody will have it. It'll piss me off. I can get it. Yeah, it's available. All I have to do is, after January, so I say, hopefully next week now, I'll finally be semi-legal. Because basically, I'll do the title transfer like the second week of January, then go right over to the license bureau and say, I want this plate. Order it. And then they'll print me out the stupid paper Because I'll have a paper license plate until they print these. Boy, you just keep counting it down, don't you, Ron? I mean, Lynx fur. Lynx fur 13. Why did 12 other people have lynx fur? I didn't notice the 13. Have you always been lynx fur 13? I never noticed that. Interesting. Really? You gotta be kidding me. Of all the names, someone had lynx fur. Unbelievable. I came up with it as a joke, and somebody actually is lynx fur? Unbelievable. That had been the farthest thing from my mind. Oh, Jesus. Unreal. Maybe it's some conservationist. They go out in the wild and they save lynx. Or they shave lynx. Look, I got lynx fur. Maybe you ought to contact the original lynx fur person and ask them if they have any lynx fur. You can line your bowling shoes. I would love to have one. That is a cool looking cat. Because they got them real pointy ears. And big feet. Oh, lynx has got huge feet. Because they're mainly in snowy areas. Although my next cat is either going to be a Bengal or a serval. Probably a serval, if I could afford it. I've read more articles with people that own them cats, and they say they're probably the most intelligent domesticated cat on earth. Matter of fact, the one guy, he did a YouTube video. He had two servals, and they learned how to open the door. He had to put special locks on the goddamn door because the cats were escaping. They'd open the door and let themselves out. You didn't hear that, Boots. No, easy. I could have killed him last night. God. He comes bounding into bed like frickin' elephant. He makes a run, and he hits the bedroom door to open it, and then he does a leap onto the bed. And most of the time when he does a leap, he ends up landing on my chest. And I'm like, oh, lay down already. Okay. Matter of fact, he was hilarious last night. I turned down the bed, get ready to go, get in. He's sitting almost by my pillow. Just move over. I'll get in bed. You can massage me. He's sitting there in the bed. He thinks he's a kitten. All right, Rudy, have a good night. Yeah, it's almost that time. 15 more minutes. Oh, Kathy, I haven't asked in a while. How's your granddaughter doing? Is she finally healing up? I was checking on her a regular basis and I forgot. She do much better. Good. Let's hope they finally got it straightened out. That poor girl's gone through hell. Modern medicine. Yeah, the 23rd is my last pain management appointment for the year. I'll be in there begging him, don't change my medication. See, it's not so much him, it's his boss, Mr. Modern Medicine. Him and I are going to have an argument if they decide that, oh, well, we're going to change this. So what do you want me to do? Jumping jacks? Show you I'm pain-free? Although I better not. The word will get back to Dr. Tai Chi. Oh, you do jumping jack. Oh, okay. Here, now you do squat thrust and duck walk with medicine ball. Oh, I remember that in high school. Oh. If you screwed up in phys ed class, he would make you duck walk with a medicine ball. I still to this day don't know why they call it a medicine ball. It sure as hell didn't make you feel better after a duck walk, couple of laps around the goddamn gymnasium. And he would pick that son of a bitch up and throw it at you. Here, duck walk with this. I can't, you broke my rib cage. I wonder if they still have them in schools. Probably not. They probably banned the medicine ball. Bring the medicine balls in. He put them in the corner. And he would just wait for somebody to screw up. He'd go over in the corner and pick it up and throw it at you and tell you, all right, duck walk 2 laps around the gymnasium. Hard enough to duck walk, let alone holding a goddamn medicine ball. Jesus Christ. I don't miss those days. Although I only had to do that once. Learned my lesson not to screw off in phys ed. And if it was toward the end of class, he made you come in after school. You owe me 2 laps. I didn't sign no loan form. I don't owe you nothing. All right. I'm doing it. The first lap wasn't bad. About halfway through the second lap, you wanted to die. But see, nowadays, you can't torture kids like that. That's cruel. Christ, I don't even know if they have phys ed classes at the high school anymore. I'm going to have to ask that little girl I talked to the other day. I was up getting cigarettes, and she come in with a backpack, and I said, "You go to Marshall?" She says, "Yeah." I said, "I got a couple of questions if you wouldn't mind." She goes, "Yeah, sure." Then she goes, "When did you graduate?" I said, "Before you were born." She looked at me. She, "Really?" I said, "Do I look that young?" I graduated in 1970. Then I could see her calculating in her head. Holy shit! No more orchestra. They have marching band, but they don't have no orchestra, no chorales, no choir. Yeah, Kathy, you should have seen the wheels turning. Yeah, when did you graduate? Was it before you were born? What year? 1970. I could see the adding machine going. Holy shit, you're old. I said, "Yeah, I graduated when it looked like a high school, not that office building they have now." I told her, I said, "We had an Olympic-sized swimming pool." She couldn't believe it. I said, "Look it up." I said, "We had an Olympic-sized swimming pool at that school." And I started telling her about all the stuff we had, shop classes. I said we had wood shop, we had metal shop, auto shop, electronic shop. I said girls had home ec. We had a sewing room. She said, "A sewing room?" I said, "Yeah." I said, back in, the 50s and 60s, girls made their own clothes. There was a sewing class. Your project, I don't know how many dresses or how they had to make in a semester, but I said, yeah, girls made their own clothes, sewed their own dresses, their own skirts, made their own blouses. She was, boy, I would like to have that. I said, well, that's back in the good old days when I rode a Tyrannosaurus Rex to school. She looked at me. I get it. I hope so. Yeah, I told her, I said they taught girls, how to cook and sew and be a housewife. Yeah, they did it. They did it at Marshall. I can't remember whether it was like every quarter where they had to make a dress or a skirt and a blouse or something, and yeah, then after school, like in the evening, they would do a fashion show. And they played it up because they had, the orchestra there playing music, and there was a catwalk, and they did it up, like New York fashion show. It's sad to know what these kids are missing today. Christ, when they did away with the sewing classes, the goddamn, like Joanne Fabrics, they all went out of business. Because every school, every high school taught sewing. And when the schools did away with it, the poor fabric shops went bankrupt. Because, Christ, you could buy a sewing machine at every goddamn store. Sears, Kmart, May Company, Higbee's, Halley's. Same thing with typing. God, you can't even find a typewriter today, except in Grumpy's closet. I have a Smith Corona portable. Every now and then I take it out. It's kind of neat. Because the carrying case looks like a little briefcase. You carry around your typewriter. I say typewriter, and kids look at me and go, what the hell's a typewriter? Christ, I had an old Royal that came out of one of the newsrooms at the Cleveland Plain Dealer. It weighed a ton. Oh my God. It had the. I finally got rid of it. I got tired of dragging it from house to house. But these kids, we had all those shop classes. They had, home ec, they had sewing. I remember, the home ec classroom had several stoves. Because I remember when they were, like making brownies or cookies, the smell wafted through the goddamn high school. Because I remember my girlfriend would say, "Look, we made brownies today." "Good, give me some." We had health class. That's something from the dark ages. Health class. Pardon me. It's kind of tacky to blow your nose on screen, but my nose has been running today. Every time I go into Mark's, I can go into any store. I go into my Mark's at 137th and Lorraine. I'm not in that store 5 minutes and my nose starts to run. And the cashier today said, same thing with me. She says, "I got a box of Kleenex here at my register all day long." Keyboarding? Oh, jeez. After snowboarding, we'll be in for keyboarding. Well, yeah. The new generation. Keyboarding, yep. Matter of fact, my keyboard, something went haywire with it here. Oh, there. I have a keyboard that lights up. Now, that's no surprise, right? You're not shocked to see a keyboard that lights up? Matter of fact, all the keyboards for my computers light up. Even my minis. I have I have a couple of my small form factor computers. I ordered small form factor keyboards. They're 60%. And they all light up. Another waste of money. Well, I think it's about that time. Well, everybody, thanks for being here tonight. And have a wonderful rest of your evening. And we will meet again right here tomorrow night. And with that, take care, everyone. See you tomorrow. See ya.